Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai. Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Radha Madan Mohan Radhe Jai. Jai Sita Ram Jai Lakshmana Hanuman Jai Sita Ram Jai Lakshmana Hanuman. Jaya Gaura Nitai Jaya Gaura Nitai Jaya Gaura Nitai Jaya Gaura Nitai. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. निताय गौ प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्-भागवतम की जय. शिला प्रभुपाद की जय. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiryet Shravtam Swakatha Kṛṣṇa Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridayantasto He Bhadrani Vidhunoti Suhasatam Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavate Sevaya Bhagavate Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Hare Krishna. So today we'll be covering Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 11th canto, chapter 17, verse 10. So the title for the chapter is Lord Krishna's description of the Varṇāśrama system. Hare Krishna. So let's go to the first verse, the 10th verse of this chapter. Ādā krita yuge varno Nirnam hamsa iti smritaha Krita krityaha prajajatya Tasmat krityugam viduhu Ādā krita yuge varno Nirnam hamsa iti smritaha Krita krityaha prajajatya Tasmat krita yugam viduhu Ādā krita yuge varno Nirnam hamsa iti smritaha Krita krityaha prajajatya Tasmat krita yugam viduhu Ādā krita yuge varno Nirnam hamsa iti smritaha Krita krityaha prajajatya Tasmat krita yugam viduhu Ādā krita yuge varno Nirnam hamsa iti smritaha Krita krityaha prajajatya Tasmat krita yugam viduhu Ādā krita yuge varno Nirnam hamsa iti smritaha Krita krityaha prajajatya Tasmat krita yugam viduhu. Ādau, in the beginning of the millennium, Krita Yuge, in the Satyuga, or age of truth. Varnaha, the social class. Nirnam, of human beings. Hamsaha, named Hamsa. Iti, thus. Smritaha, well known. Krita Krityaha, perfect in the execution of duties, by complete surrender to the Supreme Lord. Prajaha, the citizens. Jatya, automatically by birth. Tasmat, therefore. Krita Yugam, Krityuga, or the age in which all duties are fulfilled. Viduhu was thus known by the learned. Translation by the disciples of His Divine Grace S.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. In the beginning, in Satyuga, there is only one social class called Hamsa, to which all human beings belong. In that age, all people are unalloyed devotees of the Lord from birth. And thus, learned scholars call this first age Krita Yuga, or the age in which all religious duties are perfectly fulfilled. Purport. It is understood from this verse that the supreme religious principle is unalloyed surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Satya Yuga, there is no influence of the lower modes of nature, and therefore all human beings belong to the highest social order called Hamsa, in which one comes under the direct supervision of the Personality of Godhead. In the modern age, people are crying out for social equality. But unless all human beings are situated in the mode of goodness, which is the position of purity and unalloyed devotion, social equality is not possible. As the lower modes of nature become prominent, secondary religious principles arise, by which people may be gradually elevated to the pure stage of unalloyed surrender to God. In Satyuga, there is no inferior human beings, and thus there is no need of secondary religious principles. Everyone directly takes to the unalloyed service of the Lord, fulfilling perfectly all religious obligations. In Sanskrit, one who perfectly executes all duties is called Krita Kritya, as mentioned in this verse. Therefore, Satyuga is called Krita Yuga, or the age of perfect religious action. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, the word Ādav, in the beginning, refers to the moment of universal creation. In other words, the Varṇāśrama system is not a recent concoction, but naturally arises at the time of creation, and should therefore be accepted by all intelligent human beings. Hare Krishna. Om Jnana Timrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatadaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, today also happens to be the disappearance day of Srila Devananda Pandit. It's not the movie star Devananda, right? There is also a movie star by the same name. So this is Devananda Pandit. So it's very nice to kind of like remember, it's because he was also referred to as Bhagavati, because he used to recite Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam very expertly. And there were some places where it is actually described in Chaitanya Bhagavat, in Madhya Kand, chapter 21, that Devananda Pandit and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's father, Visharad, they used to live in the same village. You know what we call Navdeep today, it used to be called Kulya in those days. So they were, and Devananda Pandit used to recite Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam very expertly, but with a Mayavadi mindset, with that viewpoint. So once it so happened that Srinivas Pandit, he was there, in the assembly. So Shiva's Thakur, he was once present, and hearing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, he started crying, because of that feeling, the ecstasy of love of Godhead. He started crying. So Devanand Pandit's disciples, he took him outside the assembly, thinking that he is disturbing all the other people, members who were gathered there. And that was a big offense of Vaishnava Aparadh. And so later on, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was going in the same direction, he saw Devananda Pandit, and he chastised him for his Mayavadi interpretation. He did not appreciate the Mayavadi interpretation of Devananda Pandit. So it so happened that, Devananda Pandit in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the way it comes is also very important because it directly relates to this verse that we are covering today. Bhagavati Devananda Vakreshwara Kripaya. Kripate. Sorry. Bhagavati Devananda Vakreshwara Kripate Bhagavatira Bhakti Artha Payala Prabhu Haite. So it just so happened that Vakreshwar Pandit, he stayed as a guest at Devananda Pandit's house once. And there, Devananda Pandit, he was, even though a great reciter, and he was a great scholar in the Shastras, he listened to Vakreshwar Pandit. And we know from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Vakreshwar Pandit is an ecstatic dancer. He could dance for 72 hours non-stop. And also he is an expansion of Aniruddha. So from Lord Krishna comes Balaram, Sankarshan, Vasudev, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. So he is an expansion of Aniruddha. So when he, gives the explanation of Bhagavad to Devananda Pandit, Devananda Pandit immediately understands the core by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Payale Prabhu Haite. So by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, what does he understand? Bhagavatera Bhakti Artha. So with respect to devotional service, he understands the meaning of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So important, right? You may read a sentence but not understand the meaning. So what's the use of that sentence? You cannot practice it in your life. But then when you read the sentence, knowing its essence to be devotional service, all of a sudden it, makes you realize the depth of that love of Godhead and how the devotees are expressing this. Because Bhagavatam, if you see, there are description of the devotees and then there's description of the Lordship, Ishanukatha, right? So when you hear about the pastimes of devotees, Lord becomes happy. And when you hear about pastimes of the Lordship, devotees become happy. So it's a win-win situation, provided you understand it, right? So it is with that mood, he understands. And now even Bhagavati Devananda Pandit, he was actually in Krishna's pastime, who was Bhaguri Muni, a Sabha Pandit who would recite the Vedic scriptures at the house of Nanda Maharaj. So not a small personality. So today is his disappearance day and we should all pray to get his mercy as well so that we can do our Bhagavatam recitation and study nicely. So that's the lesson. So yesterday, during the lecture, Mataji covered the 6 points from Bhujan Prabhu's book. Who remembers any of those 6 points? It's very interesting. It was on Varṇāśrama. So what did we remember? Anything from Varṇāśrama that we covered till yesterday? Any point?
Make all the sex of people happy and worship Lord Krishna.
Yes, very nice, Prabhu. You actually summarized the whole Varṇāśrama system very nicely. So yes, Varṇāśrama is to make all the sects of people happy and worship Lord Shri Krishna, because he is the supreme goal. Yes. Anything else? So again, there were many points. First was, Srila Prabhupada had established agrarian society, right? focused on agriculture. That was the first point that came up. Because you cannot eat nuts and bolts, like Prabhupada said. It's very important. And then the second point was that Varṇāśrama is explained with respect to the body. And I would like to use an example here, and maybe I can ask three of your Prabhus to, think from that particular perspective. Everyone else can also think with that perspective. Say, for example, Prabhu, you are just the head of a body. So you're not supposed to use your arms, your legs, your head, and the torso is supporting it. Prabhu, you are supposed to be the arms, right? So you're not supposed to use your head or your legs. You can only use your arms. And you can hear the instructions given by someone to be able to use those arms. So that's your interface, right? In IT world, we have this understanding of, that the head can speak. The head is like the whole face above the torso. And then Prabhu, you are the legs. And you can use the same media of hearing and, responding, but you cannot use your head. So if three of you individually have to get a glass of water to drink, can you do it? Yes, Prabhu. Individually. So you are only the head. You cannot use your legs or hands. Just individually. Yeah. You cannot take any other's help. So head on its own, can you do it? No. You know how to do it. But you don't know, how you don't have the other elements necessary. So Prabhu, you are the arms. Because you don't even know what to do, right? And same thing about you, Prabhu. You can, use the legs, but then you don't know what to do with those legs. But combined together, can you do it? Combined together, you can do it, right? Because the head can give direction to the legs to stand up, and the leg would stand up. Then the head can give direction to the leg to walk, which direction and how fast, how slow, and so forth. You can walk to the, fountain, pick up a glass with the direction given to hands. That, okay, hands, you rise so much in this direction. Yes, there is a glass, pick it up, hold it, and then you fill it with the water, and then you can drink it. So combined together, whole is more than the sum of his parts, like Aristotle said. Together you can achieve something that individually none of you can achieve. So if you look at Varṇāśrama system from that particular perspective, it becomes very clear. Now if somebody is to ask, who is more important? Who do you think is more important in this? You think head is more important? Yes. Because once head is chopped off, the body cannot survive. Yet at the same time, is head all in all? No. It still needs help from others, right? So the whole body has to work. Now another analogy that can be given is that of a car. Let's just consider that, the steering wheel is the head. Or steering with the combination of accelerator is the head. And then legs are actually the brakes and accelerator, all the foot system, and head is the steering wheel. But then the legs, and then you have the example of arm. And that arm is, to be able to see outside and through the front of the vehicle. So only then you can drive a vehicle, because first you should be able to see where you're going, and then control, with your arms, the steering wheel, the brakes, and the accelerator to drive the car to achieve traveling from point A to point B. So that's there. So in the Shastras, now you can say, okay, where is this reference coming from? I gave you the example of, one person being head, another being arm, another one being the legs. There is an example of Andha Pangu Nyaya. So it just so happened, there is a story actually. This is a story, when I was reading about this long back, I immediately remembered a story I read when I was in 2nd grade back in India. Where the story goes that in a village there used to be a blind man. And then in the same village there used to be a apang. Apang means a man whose legs were not working. And both of them desired to go to a festival. So in that desire, can the blind man go to the festival? No, on its own cannot. Can the you know, person whose legs are not working, can he go? No, he cannot. But together they combine. So the blind man makes the man whose legs were, crippled on his shoulder. Pangu means crippled. Apanga is another derivation of that word. Synonym. And then the person sitting on the shoulder, he can see nicely, so he gives the direction. So without avoiding, without falling into any pits or any, stepping on any thorns, they are able to walk the path to get to the festival. So it's just identifying how nicely Srila Prabhupada, he addressed like this Andha Pangu Nyaya is basically, describing very nicely how Varṇāśrama system is so well constructed by the Lord, and the whole system has to be recognized. And you should not say, okay, legs, just because they deal with all the dirty stuff, all the hard labor and all that, they are bad. And that, arms, they protect the body, they provide the necessary facilities and so forth, so they are better than the legs and so forth. Yes, they have their position, but all of them are important. So the essential aspect is there. And now, I just, in this particular verse and the purport, the reference was given of Krita Yuga, And of course, from 12th canto, we come to know of Krite tadadhyayate vishnum, tretayam yajato makeh dvapare paricharyayam kala tad harikirtanat. So in the Krita Yuga, people could meditate, dhyayate vishnum. They could meditate on Lord Vishnu. How many years would they meditate? Yes, tens of thousands of years actually. Yeah, like Vishwamitra, he meditated for 60,000 years, and then you have Prachetas, 10,000 years. So people were meditating. They had long lifespan, hundreds of thousands of years long lifespan. And that's why they were called Hamsas. And why were they called Hamsas? Hamsa means swan in English. Yes. Now Hamsa has this capability, if you mix water and milk together, Hamsa could easily extract milk and leave the water behind. Now there is a concept of Paramhamsa. So what's the difference between Hamsa and Paramhamsa? So Hamsa could only utilize the milk in the combination of water and milk. But Paramhamsa can also utilize the water for the purpose it's meant to be. Right? So there is an example, Srila Prabhupada, once he was, at Mayapur temple, and as he was looking at the garden, there was some kind of plant. Then he basically asked the gardener, so what are they? Oh, the gardener looked at them and said, sorry, this is useless. They're useless. They're just like weeds. Sometimes we consider weeds, right, as useless. So Srila Prabhupada immediately rebuked him. Said, nothing is useless. In Lord Krishna's creation, nothing is useless. Everything has its purpose. You just don't know the purpose. That's why you consider it useless. So just because we do not know the purpose of a thing, we consider that to be useless. For us or for that specific situation we are in. Now, let's look at the spiritual world. So of course, we are talking of Varṇāśrama, right? There are 4 social classes and 4 spiritual classes. 4 Varnas, which are the 4 social classes. And what are the 4 Varnas? Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. And then there are 4 ashramas, 4 spiritual classes. And those classes are Brahmacharya, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. So, if you think of a spiritual world, what's the, looking at the ashram. What's the ashram of Radharani? Grihastha, right? What's the ashram of, now coming down to our material world, is Lord Shiva? Grihastha. What's the ashram for Lord Brahma? Grihastha. What's the ashram for Narad Muni? Brahmacharya. So again, sometimes people get confused. He has a spiritual body already. So people get confused. And so we're seeing, can you name in the spiritual world any sannyasi? Huh? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is still, he's already together, means he's Radha Krishna, both together. See, Andha Krishna, Bahar Radha. So he has the covering of Radharani. Yes, he's everything. Just like Lord Krishna, so he's everything. So it's very difficult to kind of like identify. Means again, I was talking of the inhabitants of spiritual world. And among the inhabitants, of course, of all this, if somebody asks you what's the Varna of Lord Krishna, he's everything. You cannot call him in any specific Varna, he's everywhere. So, you know, he's playing like a brahmachari as a young boy, he's also a Nimai Pandit, he's also, you know, Hari, he's everywhere. And as well as everywhere. So again, he's the one establishing it. So he has set so many examples in all. Means again, it is said Dattatreya. He was referred to as Vanaprastha in 11th canto. So, Srila Prabhupada, he is sannyas, yes, sannyas ashram. But in the spiritual world, you don't know what his position is, right? You know his position in this material world. Just like we say Vakreshwar Pandit, but then that's Aniruddha, Lord Aniruddha's incarnation. So that is there. So it's very interesting when you look at it from the perspective of Shastra. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is a description given who actually, in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, who was the personality who enunciated Varṇāśrama Dharma? It was Ramananda Rai. He was a governor, a Grihastha, and at the same time, a Shudra. And now that's surprising, right? So it is said in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in Madhya Lila, you can check out in chapter 8, that Ramananda Rai, he enunciated, Srila Prabhupada writes in the second paragraph of the first chapter. I was surprised that it was Ramananda Rai who enunciated the Varṇāśrama Dharma. And enunciated, I've looked at it, like it's very important because the verse today said that the Varṇāśrama Dharma was established in the beginning of time itself by Lord Krishna. So it says it was uttered, or it was re-established from that particular perspective, or pronounced. So again, when people forget about something, you know, if someone else pronounces it, it's not creating it, but it's reminding that, okay, there is Varṇāśrama Dharma. And there's a beautiful pastime of how Ramananda Rai and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he had already given, you know, to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he had already referred to Ramananda Rai. So Ramananda Rai, you know, was in the same area as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu after seeing Lord Narasimha during his South Indian, you know, tour or journey. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going after visiting Lord Narasimha temple, he came to the area where Ramananda Rai used to be. And Ramananda Rai at that time was taken on a palanquin to a river for bathing. And he was accompanied by various Brahmanas who were walking with him as well. So Ramananda Rai is in a palanquin. Which Varna is he? No. Say ashram is Grihastha and Varna is, he's a Shudra. And the Brahmanas are walking with him. So which Varnas they are? Brahmana. So Brahmanas are Brahmanas. Simple. Sometimes it becomes confusing. You know, it reminds me when I was reading it. There was in our 10th grade, there was a professor, he came for interview. Sometimes you would have professors or lecturers from outside. They would come and lecture us, you know, during the board exam in India. And this one asked one question, nobody could answer. He said, what's the formula of H2SO4? Yes. Right, I know. But nobody could, because of the way the question was posed, people are all thinking, what's the formula of H2SO4? Well, H2SO4 is the formula for sulfuric acid. So, similarly, it happens, So the Kali Yuga effects sometimes overcome us. However, the Shastras are there to guide us. Shri Shri Gauratai ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki jai. Shri Shri Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Kori Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is very eager to meet Ramananda Rai. So, Ramananda Rai, he finishes his bathing, his oblations to the forefathers. So, oblation to the forefather, right there, it's one of those days where you do the Pindadan and other oblations to the forefathers. And right after that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Tumi Ramananda Raya? So, he is asking, are you Ramananda Rai? So, at that point, Ramananda Rai, seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dressed as a sannyasi. And a young sannyasi, right? With so much effulgence, like that of 100 suns. Now that you read, wow. He looks at this sannyasi and he says, yes, I am the Grihastha and the Shudra, Ramananda Rai. So he is actually introducing not himself as, I'm governor, Ramananda Rai. He is addressing in humble mode, and I'm a Shudra, Ramananda Rai, your servant. And then at that point, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is also saying, I'm also a Mayavadi sannyasi. Now this is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now why would Supreme Personality of Godhead address himself as Mayavadi sannyasi? Again, he's trying to show an humble position, taking a humble position. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was, in sannyas order, he was renounced in sannyas order, he was pronounced by a Mayavadi sannyasi. So that reference is also there. And at that point, they together embrace each other with that. And all the symptoms of ecstasy are visible. The shivering of the body, the standing of the hair, the choking of the voice, all the symptoms are visible as they are embracing each other. And the tears are flowing. Now, who's Ramananda Rai? That's Vishaka Sakhi in the spiritual world. Can you imagine? And who's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? He's in the mood of Radharani. Right? And they are like meeting of Radharani and Vishaka Sakhi. And the focus in the center is Lord Kṛṣṇa. So when you meet someone, and this I think Prabhu had asked that question, Brajbari Prabhu had asked. Somewhere I have heard the question. So I'm going to refer to that question. So if you meet someone after 20 years, it takes 20 years to recover and properly express yourself, or is it instant? So you meet your very close friend, a very dear friend of yours, after 20 years. All the emotions and expressions and love that emerges instantly. So can you imagine how when Vishaka Sakhi and Radharani would meet after a long separation? So in this way, they are embracing each other. And all the Brahmanas, they are watching, thinking, Ramananda Rai, he is a very grave, he is a big administrator. Now administrators are supposed to be Kshatriyas. Yet Ramananda Rai calling himself as a Shudra. And he is being embraced. And he is showing all these symptoms. They are saying he is a very grave person, he is a very serious person, very aristocratic. What is happening to him? They start looking at, what's really wrong? What's going on? Just by being touched by a sannyasi. And on top of that, they are thinking like a sannyasi. And Ramananda Rai himself says, a sannyasi is not supposed to touch Shudra. Yet at the same time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is embracing this Shudra. So the conversation goes on, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu realizes that, externally, these symptoms are being misinterpreted. So in the material world, when you express love, it gets misinterpreted a lot. So it so happened that immediately he consoles himself and Ramananda Rai, and with composure he says, let's meet, later. So at that time, a Brahman comes and invites Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to come and have lunch with him. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepts it, and then he is also staying at another Brahman's place for the night. And Ramananda Rai, he goes to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Actually, it was as together they meet, there is a great conversation that goes on. So in the meeting, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he asks that recite a verse from the revealed scriptures concerning the ultimate goal of life. So what's the ultimate goal of life? And this conversation goes on. So in response to this, Ramananda Rai says, Varṇāśrama chāravata purushena parapuman Vishnu aradhate pantha nānyata tattosya kāranam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, is worshipped by the proper execution of prescribed duties in the system of Varna and Ashram. Varṇāśrama chāravata purushena parapuman. So one should establish himself in the institution of the 4 Varnas and 4 Ashramas. Vishnu aradhate patha nānyat tadatosya kāranam. There is no way to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it's actually reciting from the verse. And this verse is from Vishnu Puran. And in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam also a similar verse in the first canto that supports it. Ata pumbhir duja shrestha varnāśrama vibhāgashah swa anusthishtasya dharmasya samsiddhi haritoshanam. O best among the twice born, it is therefore concluded that the highest perfection one can achieve by discharging the duties prescribed by one's own occupation according to caste divisions and orders of life is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is glorifying Varnāśrama Dharma, that one has to perform the prescribed duties based on their Varna and Ashram. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, okay, that's also an external feature, so tell me more, Tell me more about it, because this is an external feature. Because everyone is automatically, the system has been established by the Lord, automatically fits into, based on their nature and propensity and their activities, into one of the Varnas and Ashramas. But they may not perform their duties, right? There's a perfection, yes, if they perform the duties. But then, they may not perform the duties. Like for example, in India or anywhere else, okay, first of all, this Varnāśrama Dharma is created by the Lord, right? So, any society you take, it is present in one form or another. There is a class of learned scholars in every society you would see. There is a class of people who are doing the administration, managing the affairs, leading everyone, making sure that the facilities are there for everyone to continue their livelihood. And then there is a class where they are involved in some level of trade, some agriculture, agrarian part, and then cow protection and so forth. So they're milking the cows, distributing the milk and so forth. Every society has those. And then the 4th class is the Shudras. And in every class you will find there are students, there are married people, there are retired people, and then there are sannyasis. They are doing some monks who are completely have renounced their life to meditate on whatever that religion that the society is practicing. So that is there. So he's saying, okay, that's there anywhere, but that's an external feature. Tell me more. Because sometimes, Srila Prabhupada, his dream was that, the future generation will establish Varnāśrama Dharma. But before we start doing something, we have to also understand what Varnāśrama Dharma is. It is a means to the end, not the end itself. Sometimes we confuse, ourselves, saying, oh, this was the dream, so let's just make this our goal. The goal is still, to perform service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. An external feature is through Varnāśrama Dharma, it's a means. It's the vehicle, not the destination, that we have to understand. So he says, okay, tell something more. This is also external. So then Ramananda Raya says, Yat karoshi yadashnasi yad juhoshi tadasiyat. Yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat karishva madarpranam. So in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it said that, whatever you do, whatever you offer, whatever you give in charity, all your activities dovetail towards me, right? Means, offer it to Lord Shri Krishna. Now even this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, is an external feature. Tell me more. Why is it external feature? Sometimes people, they do all kind of nonsense. And then they say, I am doing it for the Lordship. Is that intelligence? No. You have to focus is what is it that Lordship wants? Anukulena Krishna Anushilanam. So you have to see what is it that Lord Krishna desires, and then let me perform my activities to support those, desires. Not carry out our sense gratification and then try to do whatever nonsense we want to do. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu even rejects this. He says, even an external feature, tell me more. Because it's open to misinterpretation. Then he goes, Sarva dhamam parityaja mam ekam sharanam vraja. So in Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, Lord Krishna says, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. And I shall protect you. Do not fear. From all reactions of your past sins as well. Do not fear. Well, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejects this, surprisingly, right? Because this is like the very essence of Bhagavad Gita. Give up all varieties of religion. He says, even this is an external feature. And it's very interesting that when you look at it, from the Shastra we get the concept of, dharma, artha, kam, moksha. And one is a karmi yogi, a jnani and a bhakta, they were sitting together discussing about this, injunction from the Shastra, dharma, artha, kam, moksha. Karmi says, I practice it every day. Jnani and bhakta, they're surprised. How do you practice every day? Oh, dharma. When I get up, I light a lamp in front of the Lordship, say a prayer, that's dharma. Then I engage from 9 to 5 in economic development, right? Artha is economic development. Dharma is religiosity in this case. So I go there, and then I come back home, and I go out with my friends to clubs and pubs and, have dinner outside. That's calm. And then I go to sleep, moksha. Kali says, no, you got it wrong. He says, I practice it correctly. See, as a student in early beginning of my life, when I was in brahmacharya, that was dharma. I was learning about dharma. Then I started becoming, when I took a job, and my next 25 years as a Kṛṣṇa, I had been engaged in economic development. That's artha, economic development. And then afterwards I retired and enjoyed my life. That's calm. And one day I'll die, I'll attain moksha. Now they both look at, and Bhakta is surprised. His eyes are wide open. And then both of them are looking at Bhakta. What is he going to tell us about dharma, artha, kam, moksha? And Bhakta says, excuse me, I've got a phone. Yasman udvijite loko lokan udvijite chaya. One who is not disturbed by the others and who does not disturb others and who is stable in happiness and distress is a stable person. He understands he's in the wrong association. He has to seek the right association at this point. Because this kind of association can spoil your intelligence, right? It can completely deviate you from the path you're on. So, as bhaktas, we have to choose our association very intelligently. So, in Krita Yuga, all were Hamsas. There was no other mode except mode of goodness that was effective. That's an amazing situation. But it doesn't say that everyone was in the same ashram. Does it? Everyone is in the same varna, yes. All brahmanas. But doesn't say everyone was in the same ashram. Because there were still brahmacharis, grahasthas, vanaprasthas and sannyasis. Now this is very interesting. Sometimes, people, they get confused between sannyasi and brahmanas. They think, oh, sannyasi is also one of the varnas while it's an ashram. It's very important to know. Well, just like this in misinterpretation, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejects it. That even Sarvdhamma Prityaja can be misinterpreted. Tell me something more. Then Ramananda Rai says, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Na Shochati Na Kankshati Samah Sarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param. Brahma Bhuta. So the one who is at a Brahma Bhuta stage, Brahman stage, who has realized Brahman, he's Prasannatma. He's ever in bliss. Na Shochati Na Kankshati. Does not lament on the past, what has happened. Na Kankshati. Does not have any aspiration, akanksha, of the future. Samah sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhakti labhate param. He looks at every living entity with the equal vision and is constantly engaged in my loving devotional service. Well, I met a person. He says, I like this particular verse very much. It means ignorance is bliss. I'm like confused. How is ignorance a bliss? The person tells me, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. The one who's in Brahma, in ignorance, who's bewildered, is Prasannatma. See, he's misinterpreting Brahma to be Brahma. Brahma is Brahman effulgence, right? To be at that stage. But he is saying, no, this is bewildered. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. Ignorance is bliss. So even this is open for misinterpretation by people. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, is still an external feature. Tell me more. And at that point, Ramananda Rai says, Jnane prayasam udapasya namanta eva jivanti sanamukaritam bhavadiya vartam sthane stita shuti gatam tanuvan manobhir ye prayaso ajita jito apya asi Tayas Trilokyan. So, Jnane Prayasam Udapasya Namanta Eva. So one who has given up Jnane Prayasam, the engagement. Prayasam is making endeavor. Namanta Eva has already said, I give up all this. Has already set it far aside. So one who has given up the conception of impersonal Brahman, or has given up the empirical, discussion on empirical topics, which is the Jnana Yoga. One who has given that up completely. Because sometimes it can engulfs us. There is a very nice story actually about it. Once, there were a set of Jnanis, they were having a big argument about the Shastras. Why this happened? The other group would say, no, this is why it happened. The first group would give further reasons. No, this is why it happened. They were opposing on a specific topic each other and giving more and more evidence from the Shastras. And there's this young bhakta, he sees them and he goes over there, he says, what's going on? So now they look at a young boy, he's like, how do we make them understand? It so happened that they were under a palm tree and suddenly a crow flew and a tal fruit, fell down. Then they say, okay, we can explain with this. The crow flew, that's why the tal fruit fell down. The other group said, no. The tal fruit fell down, that's why the crow flew. And they started having this. So the young bhakta said, wait a minute, let me help you guys. He goes, picks up the tal fruit, as he's breaking, he asks both the groups, do you accept that nothing would happen without the desire of the Lord? They agree, yes. Everything happens by the will of the Lord, He is the overseer and permitter in everyone's heart as super soul. Everyone agrees on that point. Then he offers the tal fruit to the Supreme Lord, says the prayers, and then he distributes it as prasad to everyone. Then he said, then why should we spend our time as how it happened and engage ourselves, our senses in serving the Lordship in devotional service? And now everyone agrees. Right? We are talking of why. Instead of that, how can we serve better? That should be our goal. And not why this happened and why that happened. Sometimes it's very interesting. It's been I have heard so many times that we gather for Ishta Goshti, we end up in Mushta Goshti. Right? Mushta Goshti. Ishta Goshti is discussion about the Lordship and how we can serve Him better. Mushti Goshti is, wrestling or boxing. Hare Krishna. With our opinions. It's not physical. Luckily, we have not gone down to the level of politics where they really started. So that's going on. Then, Jivanti Sanmukritam Bhavadiya Vartam. So they carry out their lives by hearing from the Sadamukritam, from the mouths of the great personalities, self-realized souls, or people who are advanced in spiritual knowledge. And about what? About Bhavadiya Vartam, about the name, form, activities and pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Sthane Sthita Shutigatam Tanu Vana Manobhir. Sthane Sthita. Now this is very important. Sthane Sthita means they are at their specific sthan, which is Varṇāśrama. So they don't have to change their Varna or Ashram. They are very well established. So whatever place they are, whatever Varna and whatever Ashram they are, Shruti Vatam. So they are attentively hearing. Shruti is, the scriptures are also referred to as Shrutis at times. So Shruti Gatam. So they are constantly hearing through oral reception. Tanu Van Manobhir. Tanu is Tana, body. Van, Vak, is by words. Manobhir is by mind. So body, words and mind, they are constantly, sincerely hearing with humility. Ye prayasa ajita jito. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, you are ajita, you are unconquerable. But then there is jita, you are conquered. Apya asi tres. So api is you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By them, tes. Te lokyam. Wherever they are situated in the three worlds, upper, middle and lower. Lokyam. So, one doesn't have to change their Varna or Ashram, but just, take, shelter of hearing from an advanced soul. And the important essence in this particular message, in this particular verse, is that we have to surrender our opinion. Everyone holds their opinion very high in this world. But one who surrenders to the opinion of others, surrenders to hearing about others, hearing from others about Lord Shri Krishna, His name, activities, pastimes. Now again, it is very important that when we choose our association, we have to choose our association based on people who talk about Lord Krishna, who talk about devotees, who talk about, that's the subject matters of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Atra sarga visargascha. So again, there's primary creation, secondary creation. There is, how people were engaged in different fruitive activities and they got realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by the mercy of a devotee, by the mercy of a situation, circumstance, and the whole planetary system sthane. And during different manvantras, as how Lord appeared and how, one takes shelter of the Lordship and one attains liberation and does not go through the nirodha, the dissolutions, and suffer again this material world. So that is the main essence. So to be able to do, Lord Krishna in the center, we have to seek proper shelter. And to seek proper shelter, we always have to pray. And all we need to do is raise our hands and say, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments? Gantra Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai, Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to
Gokula Tharune Kula Tarune